years forward. So as far as the Democratic Party is concerned, from my viewpoint, they're not a party. They're a crime syndicate, period. End of story. And so that doesn't mean that the Democrat voters are bad people. They've been hoodwinked as badly as anybody. But I do believe that's why it goes away, because it's going to be shown to be, although politics in Washington, D.C. is an organized crime syndicate. I've been telling the world that since 2020 when I started my radio show, right out of the gate. That's true, but it's driven by the Democrat Party and facilitated by many, many criminals in the Republican Party. So the Republican Party is going to take its own house cleaning when this thing is all done. But the Democrat Party, in my opinion, completely goes away, because I think people would be embarrassed to even say that they are a Democrat once all this, the worst of the crimes that have been committed on earth, once they see it all coming back to the Democrat Party, driven by the players, and certainly helped out by the Republicans, that it won't survive. The Republican Party obviously will, because there's a lot of good people like us in it who will hold our own people's feet to the fire for the bullshit they may pull. We're not letting them off hook either. But I think that's what inevitably happens to the Democrat Party, because it's not a Democrat Party. It is, and I want to make this point on this, Mike. It's not the Democrat Party of John Kennedy. That's long gone. It's been hijacked and it's been transformed. What I will say about the philosophical differences between the Democrat Party and the Republican Party, I just want to plant this seed because I think it's important for the audience to understand this. Our founders, and it pisses me off when I hear Trump say democracy, any of these people say democracy, it pisses me off, because we were not created as a democracy. We were founded as a republic.
Right.
People say, what's the difference? The reason we have a Democrat Party, Democrats want a democracy. The reason we have a Republican Party, Republicans want a republic, a representative republic. Here's the difference. And I make it very simple. I've used this a lot. Here's the philosophical difference. Let's say you have 5 people. They're going to break away from all this bullshit. They're going to go out into somewhere in the mountains in Montana, wherever. Basically be separatists from this society. They're going to form their own system of governance in their community. So if they choose a democracy, here's the danger of a democracy. And it's why our founders abhorred democracy. They abhorred it because it's only one step from tyranny. Okay. Help me understand how. Here's how. Let's say this group of 5 people that are going to live separately, have their own system, and they choose democracy, where majority rules. We're taught to say, hey, yes, the majority rules. We're taught to say that all through school and in society. Now, here's the problem. Let's say the system has to work for everybody, everybody. Now, that system doesn't work for everybody. Why? Let's say there are 5 people, 3 are men, 2 are women. And let's just say they happen to be unattached. Okay. So after about 6 months, some knucklehead's going to raise his hand and say, hey, you know what? We have biological needs. Men need to have sex. It's part of our, procreation power, whatever. And, these 2 ladies aren't really interested in us. So why don't we put forward a motion in our next monthly meeting that we're going to pass a law that women have to be available to sexually satisfy men in the community? Well, that comes up to a vote. What are the chances? What's the possibility? And in that situation, over the course of time, what's the probability that's going to come to a vote? And it's going to end up being 3-2. 3 men say yes, 2 women say no. And it doesn't matter because the majority rules. All right. So now what you have is tyranny, because the mob is ruling against the will and the wishes of another constituency, the women. Therefore, you have tyranny. That's why our founders abhorred democracy. That's why we have in a democracy. Now, a republic, a representative republic, works like this. You have constituencies, and those constituencies put forth one representative to speak for them in the political sphere. So in this case, let's say that motion's brought up at their monthly meeting. Okay. Well, in this meeting, there are 2 constituencies, men and women. The 3 men are going to put forth one of those men to be the representative voice of their constituency. And the women, the 2 women, they're going to put one or the other as their representative of constituency. So therefore, Therefore, and I see that question come up. So I'll address your folks, Mr. Olfang, here in a minute. But what I'm going to say is this: is that now you have, it's highly likely one man's going to vote yes to be able to rape a woman and be legal, and the one woman representative is going to vote no, unless she's a complete dish rag. I mean, I can't imagine that happening. However, there's your representative republic. Now the question comes up, Mr. Olfang's folks, if you're gay, that's an absurd question. That's a totally absurd question, because there's going to be continuity likely of opinion in a group of 5. So you guys will be safe. Don't worry about that.
That's true. So you got representatives from each group. So you have the straight guys, the gay guys, and then maybe the straight woman and the gay woman. So everyone gets represented in a republic. That was an excellent explanation. I know you've been around a lot of political types throughout your career, so you have some good insights. Now we're probably going to see what we're looking at right now, peaceful protest, began to get a little bit more aggressive. I think that's their plan. That's why we're seeing this right now. They're going to see how far they can push some of these. We're probably going to see some aggression in some of these protests, and that's coordinated to see how far they can push and get away with stuff. They've already been doing it, and there have been some shots fired here and there, but they're not ready to really go trigger happy yet. What you think, there's going to be a black swan event or anything like that coming up?
I think that is highly likely. I think what we'll find is an all-out violent protest. I think that's great insight. I like the idea of you're thinking there, because it would be a fallacy on their part to think that they can just come in and start getting very violent. I think what they're going to do is you're going to have probing activities happening to see what response times are, to see what they would be up against if they unleash the full Monty. I think you're going to we'll find absolute evidence. These people are going to be walking around with earpieces. They'll have their hoodies on, have earpieces, and they're going to be communicating with Central Command on this, because these guys are very organized. They're not just going to send these kids or these people out there, these knuckleheads, and just say, hey, fire at will, or incite at will. They're going to coordinate this like any other coordinated attack. There's going to be a strategy. There's going to be a command structure to it, and they're going to see aspects of their operation activated at certain times for certain reasons. But I believe, and you've probably seen this, Mike, in all the combat zones dealing with the enemy, there are probing activities that always happen to see what the response looks like. Mm-hmm. And I think also on our side, on the good side, I think there's also going to be measured response activities, so not to tip their hand, right? And let them think that, again, Sun Tzu, if you're strong, make them think you're weak. If you're weak, make them think you're strong. So I think we'll probably see that kind of strategy on the other side as well.
Yeah, and I also think that a lot of the people on the Trump side, I guess we could say, trying to protect people's rights, regardless of who they are. Democrat, Republican, Republic or democracy, whatever it is, we have great law enforcement protectors, and I think that they're told to measure your response, because they want, in this probing that we're talking about, to get an overreaction. So that's why, like for me, in a combat situation, I would be like, you go a little bit violent, we're going to go a lot more violent on top of you. But they have been really, really measured on that. And I think that's one of the reasons why, because I think they're trying to provoke a response, so that then the other side, they get the legal right in their minds that they can go violent against, good people. And that's unfortunate, but that's the way it is. Now, broader, let's go bigger. So President Trump basically stopping the Gaza war, whether it's going to kick back on or not, is irrelevant, because that's probably one of the first times that a president has come in and stopped Israel from fighting. So amazing. So that could progress positively. We have to look at it like that, but we haven't seen any positive protest, or not protests, but demonstrations or like get-togethers. All it was just protesting violence against Israel because they're invading Palestine and so forth. Why haven't we gotten any positive response from that? We only got negative response. Is that part of the liberal agenda as well?
Do you mean the positive response from the media, from the other side, from Trump's
Yeah,
detractors?
and those people that protested for the war to stop against the Palestinians. Well, it stopped. So why aren't you celebrating?
Interesting. I never actually thought about it. I've been a little bit out of the news cycle until I got back in town, Monday night. But that's an interesting point. Yeah, why aren't they dancing and celebrating? Because maybe they were just out there trying to create this infraction environment for the other side. I have some questions for you on that.
Yeah.
Here, I wanted to ask you this today. It's going to be a 2 or 3 part question. I'm going to ask you in a series of questions here. Are you noticing in social media this rapidly growing wave of opposition toward Israel, toward the regime, the Khazarian regime, and towards the Jewish people themselves because of the long hidden history of the provocations of the Khazarians, which we know are not Jewish. They don't have the Hebrew DNA they claim to be. From the Bolshevik Revolution forward, are you seeing this building wave of average everyday people putting out Instagram post after Instagram because they're learning what's behind the creation of Israel? All these things that none of us would ever say as Christians in the past. We'd never go up. We're programmed. The Christian evangelical community is programmed to say, no, they're God's children. We need to sacrifice blood and treasure here in the U.S. for this nation, which is now proven to be ungodly brutal in the Palestinian conflict. I mean, I look at the absolute ruins. It's worse than Hiroshima or Nagasaki on people that don't even have weapons. They can't even fight back. And I see this annihilation. Like Charlie Kirk was virtually publicly ready to go in complete opposition to Israel for these reasons. And this is not about the Jewish people in Israel. Now, I've seen a lot of evidence, video evidence of the Jewish Orthodox Jews in Israel spitting at Christians, claiming that Christ, it's in the Talmud, is boiling in feces in hell, and that they're supposed to kill us as idol worshipers. This stuff is coming out everywhere, and they can't stop it. This has been suppressed knowledge to the whole world. And I always wondered why Europe always votes against Israel in the UN. Always like, what's wrong with these people? Why do they hate them? I'm seeing things that are so disturbing to me now about Israel, and many other people are. And there's a massive wave and sentiment building against the nation itself, the stolen land, occupied land of Palestine. And normally I wouldn't say this, but after what they've done to this community of people, and to the slaughter of 40,000 children or babies, and watching these IDF soldiers brag about how many babies they killed, what are we supposed to do with this, Mike? Sit back and say, oh, that's okay? That's not fucking okay on any day of the week. I don't care if it's Muslim countries where the clowns in America were targeting weddings and things like that. This is not about the annihilation of a society or a race of people when it comes to war. War is to take out the people that create the war. Anyways, I could go on for 5 more minutes, but that's my first question. What are you seeing out there, and what do you think about this?
Yeah, great question. I think a lot of people are becoming educated, like we've been trying to help them get educated on what's really going on in Israel. So that's the Khazarian mafia that's running Israel. It's not Jewish. Jewish people there's more Jewish people all over the world than are in Israel. Israel was a chosen place for the Zionists, and the Zionists, were not very good for the Jews themselves. And that's one of the things that people are waking up to. And I think it's fantastic. There's a lot of good discussions about that. Like you talked about Charlie Kirk. He just supported, it seemed like he was like, no matter what Israel did, he was always going to support them. And then towards the end, where, he disappears from the stage, we've talked about this, but he was starting to turn. And he did a show with Megyn Kelly. And of course, we've got other people out there in the high views that have talked about this. that there is a negative group that's there. And, we've heard that Israel will be saved for last. Will everybody awaken to the fact that Israel government, not the Jewish people? So we have to pull away from this Jewish people thing, right? It's not Jewish people per se. It is a government that's out of control. You look at Maduro, down in Venezuela. You think the Venezuelan people are like all evil because he does his craziness? No, of course not. Biden, you think all American people are crazy because of what Biden did? Tried to start World War III? No. So I think a lot of people are aware of that, but they are becoming more and more aware because it seems like there's like this massive, MK Ultra thing that's been going on for a long time, that Israel can do no harm and they're the chosen people and all these things. It's like, that's all false. That's a false narrative. And that's been going on for probably 100 years, because they've been talking about how many people are suffering in Israel and how they need their own state. And they've been doing it for like 100 years. And then they created their own land. And that was part of the Rothschilds and all the other baddies that are out there that put all these things together to control the world. So we're waking up to that. And I think we're going to pull away from, supporting that, because how many people are there? Like, how many millions? I've been in that area. I've been in Lebanon. Lebanon is a small little coastal country, and right next to it is Israel. And I remember driving along. I couldn't go over the border into Israel at the time, but you could look down and see Israel is about the same as Lebanon. It's like small. There's nothing to it. It's like, how can that little country have so much power? It's because the U.S. military has given it power. Other than that, there's no way that country could do what they're doing. And that was part of, I think, the bigger plan by the Nazis and, deep state people that are, trying to take over the world.
Yeah, it's these are discussions that now have to be had at the risk of us being beaten up by people that don't yet understand, because they don't spend the time that we do trying to figure this stuff out, because of the travesty that's going on, not just there, but other parts of the world. The Orthodox Jews in Israel, the ones that I'm seeing that are spitting in Christians' faces, that are abusing Palestinians, they're coming in as settlers and abusing them. Little kids doing it. They're taught to do that. And, the depravity of teaching kids, a nation from the ground up, this kind of hate and this kind of inhumane treatment is no different than what we used to see when Yasser Arafat was still alive. We saw the Palestinians, and who knows how much of that's fabricated, but Palestinian kids in schools wearing their bandanas and putting AKs in their hands at 5 years old, teaching them to hate Israel, Israelis, Jewish or otherwise. They're taught that kind of hate. And that's absolutely absurd. I mean, it's truly absurd. I mean, look, we grew up when I was a kid, and we didn't talk much about my Native American heritage. My grandfather did, obviously, but we didn't talk about that openly. It just wasn't an issue. But here I am playing cowboys and Indians, wanting to be a cowboy because the Indians were brutal savages and we should just kill them, right? That's the kind of mindset they put in our heads from our school system, which is driven by government. And of course, as I grow up and grow older and learn the real truth of what was done to the native tribes in this country, obviously now I'm more vocal about it. I don't care where the wrongs are wrong. They need to be made right. And all this needs to be made right in front of the world for what they have done, what they're doing and what they've done. When you start looking behind all the wars in the Middle East, you're right. They don't have any money. They don't have any massive industry. And Netanyahu's recent, we know it's on record. Netanyahu said America is a golden calf that needs to be slaughtered over and over and over, and they'll do that to us. I mean, these are public statements that have been captured that this guy said about us. I've watched Ehud Barak, who I remember that 1990, somewhere in the 90s election, he unseated Netanyahu as a prime minister. Ehud Barak is from that. And I was a fan of Netanyahu then. I wasn't a fan of Ehud Barak. But Barak has even recently come out against Netanyahu. As long as Netanyahu's in power, there will never be peace. There are good people, Israelis in even leadership and government that know the same thing. Netanyahu, he doesn't even have a Jewish accent or Israeli or whatever you want to call it. The guy was born here. The guy was educated at Yale or one of these Ivy League schools. He's a Khazarian mobster from the ground up. And the world's starting to see this and starting to find it out. And I know there's good people in Israel seem to say the same thing. And there's good Jewish people. I know a lot of Jewish people. Many of my friends in LA are Jewish. Many are Democrats. These are good people. Now I see some of them on Facebook cheerleading the annihilation of Gazans. But again, that's absurd to me. That's one-sided, and they haven't yet learned the whole truth. They're being programmed to think that way.
Yeah.
Sad.
It is sad. Now, there was a comment, and we can discuss it. We were being formed and played in a massive Zionist Hegelian dialect, with President Trump being chief Zionist cuck. So, I mean, a lot of people, have that mindset. I don't agree that, that was a great question or a great statement for somebody that, has obviously looked at a lot of these things but believes that President Trump is just a puppet for the Zionists. I don't see that at all. I see that we're independent. We're breaking free. We're destroying that entire system. I think it's Nazi based. The Nazis didn't lose World War II. They just basically New World Ordered everything, and that was part of the Bush, presidencies, where it's a Nazi family. The Bush family is absolutely Nazi family, and I don't think they should ever see any place in any political system ever again. And I know you're there in Texas, and what have we seen with the Bushes? We that's another question, but what do you see with President Trump? Do you think that he's a puppet for the Zionists?
That's a great question. I'm glad this person asked it. It needs to be asked, and it needs to be ferreted out. I've been with Trump since the day he made the announcement. I backed him 1,000% the whole way through. And where I've had these moments that make you go, I've always deferred back to, could I be wrong about Trump? Hell yes. I mean, and the point I'll make is, I don't care who's in power. I care how much they look like they're working for us. We still, because when we do not, that's how all this happened. Case in point, I remember the wave building for Ron DeSantis going to run against Trump. And Mike, you like DeSantis. A lot of people like DeSantis. Yeah. And I was explaining to people, let me show you what I'm talking about. This is what I've seen for 30 years. DeSantis comes forward. We're going to end this bullshit mandates, all this. Yet in 2021, I believe it was, or 20, I can't remember what year, early in the year, he signs a bill into law, and a rider in that bill gives him the power to force quarantine and force vaccinate people in the state of an emergency. And I'm like, folks, what more do you need to know? This son of a bitch is a Khazarian card carrier. They give you all these victories over here that are really they're just incidental victories and shutting shit down, and they're burying the daisy cutter right over here in this legislation that's going to destroy everything, freedom included. So in fact, you came around, Mike, you saw the same thing. You realized, yeah, they're good at it. I can pick this shit out so quick because it's all I've ever seen. I finally came to the conclusion, I don't trust any of them, because my own party, especially after working 2 George W. Bush campaigns and always supporting Republicans, saw what they've done to the country and the world. So as far as Donald Trump's concerned, I have great discomfort on a couple of things. How we stood by, provided the weapons to destroy Gaza. And I don't know how many people have been killed. If the numbers are true, if they're not inflated to create a desired effect on our side to get us to react and respond to what they were going to do anyways, like the whole Charlie Kirk thing. Did they, under the cover of darkness, move a lot of Palestinians out of there safely, allow this place to be demolished into nothing but rubble? So on the other side of this, a deal that's already been set up with Qatar and UAE or other nations to come in with massive amounts of money and wealth and rebuild a paradise of Gaza. and bring the Palestinians into that paradise to be able to live a much better life than what they've endured. Has any of that happened? I don't know, but I would err on the side of that having actually been done, because this is a military operation, right? It is going to be fought in ways of psych warfare, psychological projection, to get to the end result, which is critical. Is that what's happened here? I sure as hell hope so, because I have a problem with Trump talking about Bibi, any weapon Bibi wants, he asked for, I give it to him. Recently he said if that was a real Trump and not AI. And there are weapons I don't even know the names of or exist, yet Bibi knows, and he gets them, and everybody's clapping. I'm thinking, that's some pretty bad, horrible shit you're saying right there, because I don't agree with it. But there again, what have we been trained to do from the military intelligence side for the last 8 or 9 years? We've been trained to understand that this is a movie, this is a show, there is a plan, and I'm hoping that what we see on the other side, that's how much deference I give Trump. That's how much latitude I give Trump, because he's wrecking their shit everywhere else in the world. All right. And he's smarter than they are. He's baited him into trap after trap. And we see the traps being set, Mike. You and I and a lot of people here watching, we're like, oh my God, that's another trap. No way they're going to walk into this one. And they dumbasses walk into yet another trap. Right. And they keep doing it. So I just have to say that I understand if you think Trump is a cuck, as you say, and he's controlled by them. My belief and my hope is he's simply playing their game, dancing their dance, making them believe that he's 1000% with them. And I think the saving grace is you have all of us on the other side here that have watched and came to understand this operation, and we've learned to read their comms to know that we will not overreact. We will be more discerning and contemplate other possibilities of why they're doing things that would make us normally say, we're against you now. I think that they're counting on us to expose these viewpoints that we have of why we're patient in the face of things that make us very uncomfortable with what it appears Trump's doing on the surface. That's my belief yet to this day. And there's some things that make me very uncomfortable. But you got to look at the big picture, and I can see a lot of the big picture because I've been at this for 35 years. It was all political for 30 years, or probably 25 until Trump was elected. And then, because we can clearly see the whole world turn against Trump. And when I saw the whole world, both parties, UN, Vatican, royal families, big tech CEOs, most powerful people, all of them in the world turning on Trump when he announced as president, I'm like, holy shit. There is the threat, the threat to their entire global dominance. It became clear once I saw that. I knew for a fact this is the only guy that can do what needs to be done on planet Earth, because every one of these bastards are scared shitless, and they're throwing all in. The people, the Mark Cubans, the guy, who was, again, these big tech people that are trying to destroy Trump at the outset. If that tells you anything, it'll tell you everything about Trump.
No doubt. And yeah, definitely. Katie says, don't play poker with Trump. I think that's good advice.
I wouldn't play Go Fish with a guy.
I know, right? God, the guy is so clever. So, we can see that, but there's other people that, like with the COVID vaccination, a lot of us were like, what is he doing? But that was all part of, pulling in the bad people and exposing them. And unfortunately, you have free will, you have the decision-making process that you can make on your own. And if you like the shot, go get it. I made it available to you. But initially, I think what they were loading it up with, and I think we all talked about this before, was hydroxychloroquine, because a vaccine is supposed to help overcome a disease, problem, whatever. And that's pretty much what the Trump, through the military, before he left office, was trying to get out as many of those hydroxychloroquine shots as he could. And I think a lot of people, fortunately, got those in the beginning stage. And then, unfortunately, as I was learning from back channels, they were going to come out with a very, very deadly vaccine, which unfortunately, massive amounts of the population have, been subjected to. So that was Trump basically playing the game as fast as he could, trying to expose as much as he could, and that helped out a lot. So now moving forward, we're going to have Trump shut down, I think, Venezuela, and I think that's going to be huge because Venezuela, through their cartels, and I think Venezuela is the big, poobah down in all of South America, Central America, and everything, which is pushing the drugs. So President Trump is really coming after Venezuela. Maduro's going to be gone. They already put a $50 million bounty on him. They're flying B-52s around Venezuela. They have a 1/3 of the U.S. fleet that's around Venezuela. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty much going to go. Now it's an intimidation factor, like we understand, from the military, because you're well versed in the military, exceptional. You're on my level as far as understanding what the military does. Very good. I know you wanted to be a jet jockey, and that didn't work out for you, unfortunately. But you have great insight. And what are your thoughts going forward as far as Venezuela, and then on the second part of that, Mexico?
I think thanks for that. I appreciate coming from someone like you, Mike. That means a lot. I would my look. There's no debating that Venezuela has become a narco state, and as a narco state, their weapon of choice. They can't take us on militarily, but they can bring massive destruction into our country and our cities, and with the massive deaths of the population. I think so far this year, it's well over 110,000 deaths from fentanyl, hundreds of thousands the year before. And again, they certainly seem to be a proxy of China, the CCP, with this conduct. But so people are going to get a little irate about Trump, quote unquote, getting us out of wars. Now he's going to start one. He's not starting a war. He's finishing one. He's going to finish one. Guys like Maduro, they need to answer for their crimes against humanity, not just what they've done here in the U.S., but what they've done to their own people. I remember the very day in the year 2000, late in the summertime, and I don't know why I remember this, but I do. I was on a cardio machine, and one of my clients, Jennifer, was right beside me on a cardio machine, and I'm reading the newspaper, as I always did when I'm doing cardio. It's probably Wall Street Journal or something, and that the very day they announced that in Venezuela, a very wealthy country, the oil reserves on par with the biggest in the world. Beautiful girls. I mean, talk about, an empire of natural resources. This country unhitched the value of its peso to the US dollar. And I said that day, as I was talking to her, I said, that was a hugely, massively bad move for Venezuela. You're going to see them descend into a third world country within about 15 years. And what happened? I said this in 2000. By 2012, 2013, their economy's destroyed. People are eating out of garbage cans. They're killing zoo animals to eat them to survive. Squalor on the streets. People, well-to-do people digging through dumpsters looking for food to survive. That's what happened there. That was an orchestrated takedown from the Chavez regime. Of course, Maduro, one of his puppets. And so those are crimes against humanity. That was a planned demolition by a Khazarian-run mobster. Okay, who controls the whole Juan told me there's 172 countries on this planet today whose heads of state are not elected by the people.
Wow.
This theft of elections is global and has been going on for a very long time. So people like this guy, he needs to face a tribunal when they get him and execute him for the evidence of crimes against humanity, certainly against the United States. He needs to be deposed and, in my opinion, decapitated, not just because of the amount of Americans that are dead in this country because of this shit, but what he's done to his own people. 100%. Now, where's that come into Mexico? Well, we got the leverage on Mexico. Simple fact is, with the declaration of a terrorist organization, the cartels being declared terror operations, I know they're brutal fighters, Mike, and you know that too. These guys that are working and running with these cartels are seasoned fighters. But once again, when you come up against the full force of U.S. military special operations, not even God can save you from that, because once these guys move forward on their missions, like one, in fact, you and I talked about this, the shit going on in any city, like the criminal mayors and the stuff that they're doing. You might, and I might have talked to this. I think it was you said that you send in a team of 6 highly trained operators, just 6,
Yeah.
they can take down the city. They know how to get to the powers that be, take them out, capture them, whatever, seize control of communications and anything else, and take it down the whole city and put it under their control in no time flat within a half a day. What do you think it's like when they have open rules of engagement in a city or a place like Mexico? They don't have a prayer. They just don't.
Yeah, I agree. Great insight. Yeah, so special forces, I was SEAL Team 6 and, work with Delta and everything. They're already down there running operations around Venezuela right now. There's evidence of that. So they will be targeted with getting Maduro. That's what we did with Noriega. And Noriega slipped through the cracks the first night. And there's evidence that we almost had him. But there are other problems that were going on. The guys that were following him in Little Birds, they were saying, hey, we got these 2 vehicles. Could be Noriega trying to run, and they're like, oh, we need you guys over here. Come out. I don't care. Get over here. So we think we have them over here. So that night we were like hitting all these different places where we thought Noriega was going to be, and unfortunately, he slipped through the cracks and eventually ended up in I think a Catholic church or something to give him protection in there. But eventually, we got him out of there. So he didn't die. Now, what we would like to do is that $50 million, that's a bounty on his head. One of his generals, like, say, I'm taking over, I'm going to take that. So that would be perfect. So I think that's what we're doing. We're trying to soften the target up, without actually hitting it. You leave with boats, we're going to blow them up. You're going to get, direct energy weapon. We're going to just everything that we have now is going to be targeted on anything, and we're going to start to hit land. That's what Trump just said. We're going to start to come on the land when we see targets now. So they're going to just putting pressure and pressure and pressure. I've been part of these operations, for 35 years. So this is what's happening. Now, even bigger picture again, we look at President Trump said that he was going to send Tomahawks. This was baiting, again, the deep state. He was going to send Tomahawks to Ukraine. And he had Zelensky come to the White House. They had a discussion. So he's like, I'm not sending Tomahawk. And oh, by the way, how's Tomahawk doing? You have amazing Belgian Malibu. That's one of the best dogs I've ever seen. Good job. So, I mean, in your house, you have like weapons everywhere, swords and knives and everything. I was like, God, I love this place. And you got a Malibu that would like just tear somebody apart, but it's like the sweetest, most beautiful little dog. And it's like, oh, amazing. So anyway, he said he was going to send Tomahawks. And then he said, no, I'm not going to now. So, perfect Trump, right? Baiting them, see how they're going to react, and then going, no. And so bigger picture, what do you think is going to happen with Ukraine?
Well, that's a question I'd actually like to ask you. Again, I still think, we could be pissed off at a number of things. Like you said, Trump's going to send more weapons over there, all that, when his job is to shut it all down. Again, I think these are just comms. Like you said, baiting these guys in, that they're going to continue to support it. You and I both know that is the epicenter on Earth. That is the Khazarian power structure. That's where it originated from originally 1,400 years ago. Once again, these people don't have ancient Hebrew DNA. I think that those who believe that they are Jewish, only Gordon Duff's proved this in his research, only 3% do have the ancient Hebrew DNA, where 80% of the Palestinians have the ancient Hebrew DNA. Why do you think they're trying to wipe them out? So I think, the Khazarians have always been running that place. These guys are smart. The Khazarian mob, I mean, they are the best at what they do. The infiltration, the identity theft, everything that they do. I mean, they can make you believe that they're your best friend, that they're truly good people, have your interests in mind, and invite you to dinner, and then, walk up and say nice things and then start slitting your throat. That's how they operate. I mean, I've actually believe I've had some personal dealings with Khazarian people, in my lifetime as of late. But again, to outfox these people, you need to be as good as they are at making them believe that you really care about them, love them, they're your friend, your protector. The only way that you take down something like this isn't externally. It would destroy the planet. You have to bring it down from the inside. And I believe every action is being taken the whole way through, and every leader in this country outside of Kennedy and Reagan and now Trump play the game. Nobody's played it better than Trump. You're going to piss off a lot of your people in the country that think you're stabbing them in the back. And I see it differently. I know you do too. It has to be this way. They have to make them believe that they are with them, because if any moment that they do figure out that you're not with them, they don't only deal with you, they pull a Samson option. It's going to cause mass casualties on the planet. Infrastructure. There are places that they're doing shit, Mike, around the world that you and I don't know about and never get to see because the media won't show it. Like, okay, watch this. They pull some plug on something that can destroy the water supply of an indigenous area in the world, and 20, 30,000 people are now dying within a week or two because to them, human life is expendable. And they'll just show, okay, here's 30, 40,000 innocents. Watch what we do just because you did this. This is the shit that they do. And so you've got to be very patient, very smart, and willing to take your own hits from your own people to play the game better than they can.
Yeah. So I think, Trump is playing a delaying tactic while Putin, who he's in cahoots with, is destroying the Nazis and the NATO alliance. So I think that's what's happening now. Here's another good one. Special forces, the military arm of the CIA, drug running operations. You guys are too stupid to admit what you were a party to. So no, we're pretty spot on what's going on. I mean, some people take that tack. They go negative and stay negative. Unfortunately, I can tell you, both of us are like, we're patriots. You're a patriot street fighter. Both of us are attacked all the time. You lost your dad. I've been attacked many times. I've been sickened. I know your whole team, your whole crew's been sickened. So no, we're not party to any of that bullshit with the CIA. I work for the CIA, keeping people safe. But what I did is I hunted down terrorists, and I got a lot of terrorists, right? I was part of missions getting terrorists, and we got a lot of them, right? So in the background, we could see the CIA organization that's very dark, very evil, that is working that drug activity and sometimes using, unbeknownst to us, of course, military for their operations. Yes, but it's a facade that we're doing the right thing. Now Noriega was a drug running operation. So we came in, Reagan, sent us in there. Reagan was a good president. And you look at the Resolute desk as you're looking at President Trump, and on his left side is a massive picture of Reagan. So he's doing the right things, guys, like Reagan did. Reagan, for the most part, I know everyone gets compromised, maybe even President Trump. I don't know. Maybe he's trying to break free and do the right thing. I think he is. But there's a lot of us that get sucked into this negative stuff. The whole all America is sucked into a negative vacuum, guys. We pay taxes, some of us, but I buy stuff at a store and I'm paying taxes. That's the only taxes I'm paying these days. But you're definitely paying for this evil on many, many different levels. And the shutdown that's going on right now, you can answer if you want that question, that person's statement. And the shutdown, I think the shutdown is being used to basically destroy more of the deep state right now. What are your thoughts?
100%. I'll address the person that asked that question. Unfortunately, you asked it with me on the show, and I'm just going to tell you like it is. There's a decent way to ask a question and not make it accusatory and call people stupid. I'm going to point out your stupidity here. What are you doing in opposition to this bullshit the CIA is doing? What are you doing? Your tax dollars are also being used to fund all that. You watch the CIA movies where they're all, where they're shown to be these heroes. What are you doing? You're as stupid as anybody else. You're caught up in it and you can't even see it. You're too busy. You can't see the thorn in your own eye. So there's a way to ask a question like that. Hey, Mike, are you aware the agency you work for is doing this, this, and this? That's a way to do it. But you come on my channel, you get the tomahawk when you misbehave and are disrespectful to people. There's no lower frequency or lower level intellect than to just come right out and ask a question in an attacking mode. Unfortunately, I'm not as ascended as Mike is, and you're going to get the same frequency vibration of calling you a dime store douche or a milquetoast pussy. Stop being stupid. Stop supporting the other side's energy frequency, because this is a spiritual battle. Throwing in questions like that with that kind of an attitude, you are helping the other side. There's a way to be decent. I'm as kind as anybody on earth. In fact, you ask anybody that's seen me with people anywhere in my life, I'm the kindest person you're ever going to meet. And I'm very, very forgiving, and I give a lot of latitude. But when you come in and you bring shit like that into my circle, it comes back 5 times harder, because you need to be woken up. And like a guy said to a guy one time, he's one of my mentors, like, why do you keep, when you make a point, why do you keep driving it home? Why, like, can't you just answer the question? Just answer it. But you give me a 10-minute seminar on it. He says, well, Scott, I have to, because if I just tell you the answer, I'm going to be telling you for the next 10 years. But if I can sell you on it just one time, I'm never going to have to talk about this ever again. So that's the way I see it. If you're going to be stupid and behave that way toward a guy like Mike, who's the nicest, most humble, trained lethal killer on earth, then you need to be made an example of. And maybe, look, I've been like that, and I've had people had to check me, and I'm like, oh shit, I got a knot in my stomach. I learned my lesson. I'm like, yeah, maybe I better behave differently. So that one's for you.
I save that for you, because normally I just have those deleted, or I delete them. I got some good people that handle that. So I had it just so I can inspire you and show the people that you are a Patriot Street Fighter. So beautifully said. All right. So what's going on bigger picture with these crazies that are here in the United States and trying to take over the United States, you think?
Well, let's hit shutdown first, because I think that's a good jump off. Look, the crazies who are taking over the United States have already done it. They're inside of government. You understand this, folks? Your enemy is government. Reagan said it best when he was doing his inauguration speech, first election in 1983. He said, government isn't the solution. Government is the problem. That has always been this way as long as I've been alive, or at least in a young adult forward. The infiltration of the bad people has already happened. They're littered all through government. Why? You look at it from a foreign perspective of foreign policy leaders in other parts of the world, why they may not like us or trust the U.S. Well, first of all, we break every treaty. We break every single treaty to the Native Americans in this country. Every treaty they broke, the U.S. government. They've only kept one. Every promise they've ever made to the Native Americans, there's only one promise they didn't break. Only one, U.S. government, and that is we're gonna kill your people and we're gonna take your land. They kept that promise. We've broken treaties all over the world. They hit Vladimir Putin all the time of being a criminal to bully. Vladimir Putin's an attorney. Vladimir Putin has never violated international law. Period. It's proven. Yet we do everywhere, all the time, every day, every year, by Washington D.C. So why is that? The infiltration is complete. You have all of these criminal bureaucrats throughout government. That's why they came in with the new constitution, theirs, under the United States Corporation. The original has been scrapped during the Organic Act of 1871. They put in an extra amendment, all this bullshit, gave us senators elected in popular votes in each state, so you could have liberal senators from conservative states going to DC. Doesn't make any sense. They've done it. And now that they've created this architecture inside a government where bureaucrats can come in, be appointed by this guy over here, this president, this Obama, this Clinton. And when they get shipped out after they serve their 8 years or 4 years, all these people stay behind. They're planted in there to wreak havoc and to stop the agenda, except the agenda of the Khazarian mobsters that truly do run the country. So therefore, how do you deal with them? Well, it took a Supreme Court decision that was just overturned, giving Trump the power as the executive power in all of government to get rid of anybody he wants. What do you think's happening during the shutdown? Mass, not layoffs like temporaries. These are job eliminations by the thousands in these agencies of these bureaucrats who are fucking it up for the president that comes in and every American citizen in the country. They're fucking it all up for us. You people that don't, that want to support that other side, if you were like in the book of Revelations, where John's projected into the future thousands of years to see what the future looks like, and then come back and try to articulate it back in current times, you're describing like swarms of locusts, like real locusts. No, these are probably like F-18s. You never saw one, couldn't contemplate one. How are you going to describe an F-18? You're going to say, oh, it's like a swarm of locusts. And so you're trying to describe something you can't possibly see in the future that's so much different. Think about this for you people that don't get it or are siding with the other side. If you had any clue or could get a visual of the lifestyle you would live after we eliminate all these criminals that have stolen the wealth on the planet, you'd be rushing every state capital in the world and taking them out, because the massive wealth that they have stolen from all of us on earth. You talk about the Garden of Eden, that is Eden. We could be living lives like multi-millionaires, every last human on earth, if we cleared these killers and criminals out of government worldwide. If you could understand that, then you would see the reality we're trying to help you understand or see, is that we need to get rid of governments that are criminal in every capacity, because their crimes are extending into the population of every country. People are struggling to survive. Even in America, people are struggling to survive. Are you kidding me? In this country, people are hungry. In this country, people can't pay a bill in this country.
Yeah.
Do you think God made it that way? Is that God said, yeah, put these people in power? There might be, because of their policies, my people are starving. There are people who are dying of cancer, which could be cured instantly, right? Dying of all these diseases. And you say, well, yeah, I'm anointed by God. At some point, people have to pull their head out and start thinking for themselves. Anyways, I'm on a rant here. I'm going to pull it back because I need to get that to end.
That's good. That's good. Now, we'll end it with the bee stuff. You had a great show on bees. Let me pull up your site, Patriot Street Fighter. You have some great shows on there right now. So, and you're on Rumble. Hopefully, we get you over on YouTube here pretty soon. But you tell us a little bit about the let me pull it tight. It says Guardians of Life, bees, frequency, and I think the quantum realm, quantum field. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, that kind of caught me by surprise. I don't promote much on my show in terms of people's businesses or products or whatever. I've just the way I've been since I started Patriot Street Fighter. But every now and again, something comes across, my desk, and I look at it, and then and it intrigues me and captures my attention. And quite honestly, the reason that I actually brought on this gentleman was because my producer is now part of the company. And I was trying to put some shows together before I left on the cruise, so I could have things to go up while I'm on the cruise. This was one of them, and to my surprise, what I found unbelievably compelling is the technology. This gentleman sold a payment system company in Canada, created wealth, started using his wealth for something that is better for humanity instead of just being a playboy or whatever. And what was really cool was his quantum physics was the realm that he spent his time and money in. I thought, as soon as you mentioned quantum physics, I understand that. And I'm like, oh, this has got to be really intriguing. So in his studies of learning about the divine geometry that the whole universe is built on, it's truly stunning, the architecture, and it's a show worth watching because he points it out. But you look at a honeycomb, the geometric structure of a honeycomb is, again, and it just happens in nature. It happens in other aspects of nature when you hit something like water with conscious thinking, and you can change the structure of water. All these amazing things that Christ was trying to teach us, and they killed him for it because they'd be powerless. But when this guy created this technology based on an array of magnetism, or array of magnet placement in this same divine architecture, what it does to the bee population, especially in these hives, it's like it triples the size of their colonies and communities and their production of honey. And even the honey has more of a, I'm maybe using a wrong